Oh, this is a six-sided piece, and these are six-sided honeycombs, and they fit perfectly inside. I never noticed that before because I'm an idiot. All right, let's get rid of this. Hey, Debbie. Okay, cool. Very good. Damn, that's going crazy, huh? Let me go turn those off. It's windy outside. And it sets off those motion sensors when it's really windy. Hey, hippie chick. Hey, Nick. Hey, Sandy Smith. How's it going, guys? Look at all those threes. Wow. Looks like we're smoking. Yes, we are. Okay. Smoking we shall do. And also, you know, I love Jimmy Dore. I don't agree with him on everything, and this is one of the things I disagree with him on. Donald Trump should be banned from social media. His social media antics have literally incited riots and cost people their very lives. Okay? For Jimmy Dore to not recognize that, it's a problem. I don't hate him for it or anything, but you know, I disagree with him on it. So we're gonna go over it. I do disagree with him on this. Um, and you know, you can't just ignore when you disagree with somebody on something. You shouldn't just ignore that they said it. You know, and unfortunately, in podcasting, in the whole podcasting world, I've noticed that's what we all do for each other. You know, we want to call out the mainstream media when they fuck up. But then when one of our fellow podcasters says some shit that doesn't make sense, oh, all of a sudden we're mum and we got each other's backs. Not here, not this guy. You guys know I don't play that shit. And you know, Jimmy Dore, who, you know, I'll be looking to go see his 7 o'clock members only show tonight. You know, he doesn't get a pass either. So that being said, it's a little windy in here. I'm gonna have to close the door, but let's do a dab after we get this video started, okay? Maybe I might even make a splash of confetti. This is a 15-minute video, so I don't know how long or where this is gonna go. But I hope you guys decide to share this video around. Yeah, that would be great if you guys would do that for me. Share it around and hey, Deborah Willingham, what's up? Okay, so Sandy Smith, hello. Here we go. I'm going to start some coffee.
The President of the United States is going to be banned from Twitter for 2 more years. Facebook suspends Trump until 2023 and shifts the rules for world leaders. Boy, I wonder what's coming up in 2024 that made them change their minds. Am I right? Come on. Are they going to reinstate all the anti-war pages that they deleted too? I bet they won't. I bet they won't. Yes, the suspension will last 2 years from the date of the initial block and would only be lifted if the risk to public safety has receded, Facebook said on Friday. I think censorship is a bigger threat to public safety than anything Donald Trump is going to say on Facebook.
Really? Really?
That's where I come from.
Really? People
that's where this loony lefty comes from.
Literally
I know it's crazy to think that censorship is a bad idea, no matter where. And by the way, people say, "Well, Jimmy, Facebook's a private company."
No. I said that. I literally said that to him. It's a private company, but that's not it. The point that he just made. He says Trump doesn't hurt. His tweets don't hurt anybody.
On Friday, I think censorship is a bigger threat to public safety than anything Donald Trump is going to say on Facebook.
Okay, now let's just stop right there. It's not censorship. It's enforcing rules. Dream Queen, I'm just going to block you because I'm sure you're not here for any legitimate conversation. Bye. I'm sure that this is an enforcing of rules, not censorship. You know, Trump was allowed to say all kinds of bullshit, you know, on social media, including things like the Kung flu and the China virus, and he wasn't ever punished for that shit. So, you know, when normal people can't talk like that and they get in trouble and they lose their ability for social media, why should anybody that's higher up in power have special privileges to be able to say whatever they fucking want if they're breaking the rules too? You don't get special privileges, Jimmy. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the fucking president of the United States. Like you just said, it's a private company. They make the rules. And yes, what Donald Trump did on social media cost people their lives. 5 people are now dead. So you are being factually incorrect when you say Donald Trump couldn't tweet anything and hurt anybody. People are already dead, Jimmy. And why won't you recognize that those 5 people are dead? That's the weirdest thing, isn't it? Isn't that weird? Jimmy won't recognize those people are dead. I don't know. I just think that's weird. Isn't that weird?
Public safety has receded, Facebook said on Friday. I think censorship is a bigger threat to public safety than anything Donald Trump is going to say on Facebook.
So that's the
that's where I come from. That's where this loony lefty comes from.
Tell it to the 5 families.
I know it's crazy to think that censorship is a bad idea no matter where. And by the way, people say, well, Jimmy, Facebook's a private company. Okay, so here's what you say to people who say that.
Of the dead.
You say, I am against censorship no matter where it comes from, right? I'm against censorship. I am for freedom of speech and liberal speech and freedom of speech and anti-censorship, the sentiment that came out of the Enlightenment. We're against censorship, whether it comes from the state.
Not hate speech. That's why we've got laws against hate speech in this country. You know, you're not allowed to go, and Jimmy, for some reason, he forgets the law that says you can't go into a crowded theater and shout fire. You know? There's a reason there's a law like that. You don't have free speech. You want to think it's free speech, sure. But there's legitimate lines that are drawn, protections, whatever, that you don't cross for a specific reason. Donald Trump crossed those lines many times. Jimmy doesn't want to look at that. Jimmy, all he wants to do is call out the people that are saying censorship for saying censorship. You know, sorry, Jimmy, disagree with you, buddy. Love you. Fucking love you, bro. You know, if you ever needed to live in my house, I would leave and give you my home. I love you. But I disagree with you on this point. And this is what I'm trying to show you guys, is you can love somebody completely and disagree with them on something and still support the fuck out of them. People who don't watch my show anymore because I disagreed with you on something and you got all butthurt and you left. You don't have to be like that.
Whether it comes from the church or whether it comes from a corporation.
Good golly.
That's what you tell those people. And by the way, Facebook and Twitter and YouTube should no longer be private companies. They should be public utilities, just like the telephone is.
I agree with him, but that's not the way it is. So you got to live in reality, Jimmy.
Because just like 30 years ago, you couldn't start a business without a telephone. You can't do a business without social media. And you can't be a prominent person in America without a telephone or without social media. So those should be now considered public utilities. That's another thing you tell people who say stupid shit like censorship is good.
I'm not saying,
I used to tell the young.
I'm not saying censorship is good. I'm saying enforcing rules on social media is. When somebody does something that results in people getting killed, they should be punished. And if that punishment includes never letting them on social media ever again, lifetime censorship, so be it. You know, I've been censored for fucking 10 years on YouTube. All social media. I'm totally censored, man. You know, nobody sees my stuff. I'm okay with that. That's what the people that own the social media companies, Mark Zuckerberg, YouTube by Google, Twitter, Jack, all those people, those are their decisions. It's, hey, man, I'm just thankful that I've got a place where I can process my thoughts, even if only a handful of people see them.
Young Turks over and over. They don't hear me because Cenk Uygur is a right-wing, union-busting warmonger.
But just remember, I'm not mongering war, and I'm not calling for the death of anybody. I'm not using racist terminology, and I'm not inciting violence. So, you know, the fact that I've been pushed down into absolute algorithm hell, it's concerning. You know, I'm not calling for violence. I just curse, you know, and people are offended. I'm offensive. What can I say? Repulsive. I like that word.
And he hires women that believe that too. The suspension will last 2 years. Okay. This new timeline denies Republican Trump a major social media megaphone ahead of the November 2022
Good.
congressional election.
Good. He should have been a
However,
good
so
boy.
they're shifting the political debate and they're admitting it. So Facebook is admitting that
Tough.
they're controlling the.
Yeah, that's true. Tough. Life's a fucking bitch. And maybe, Jimmy, if you didn't want your boy Trump to get blocked and lose his voice on social media, maybe you should have supported his fucking stupid rhetoric. You know? And there were years, Jimmy, that you spent when Trump was saying awful shit and you were calling out the left saying, I don't understand what the big deal is. I don't understand what the big deal is. Okay, so Trump said something bad. Ooh, Trump bad. Ooh, big deal. No, it was a big deal, man. And you don't want to give it credit. You don't want to give that kind of hate speech the credit it deserves. And it does deserve a big, bright spotlight to be pasted right on top of it so the whole world can see it, hear it, understand it, and know that it's totally deserving of being banned and censored. Nobody wants to hear that kind of speech, Jimmy. Nobody's fucking interested in that shit.
The political narrative in the debate.
Indeed.
They're admitting that this is, you can't get your message out without them. They're admitting that.
It's true. Life's a bitch.
However, it means
Follow
he
the
may be
rules.
able to return to Facebook well before the next presidential election in 2024.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Trump
And
has
he'll
been
win.
permanently banned by Twitter and remains suspended by Alphabet's Google, YouTube. So YouTube is owned by Google. Google is owned by Alphabet.
Right.
Okay.
Alphabet's huge.
And Trump
Be very
has
scared.
remained permanently banned on those. Does that make you feel comfortable that the leader of a major political party isn't allowed on what should be a public utility? They're trying to squelch it. That should scare you.
No, it doesn't, because I'm considering the source, Jimmy. It's Donald fucking Trump. Trump, have you listened to what the man spews? He's like an asshole with diarrhea all day long. Are you fucking kidding me, Jimmy?
Facebook's oversight board. It says Facebook's oversight board. Are you
Like,
ready
I'm
for this?
supposed to be sad, Jimmy? Am I supposed to be
An
sad for Donald
independent
Trump?
group funded
Am I
by the
supposed to be
company.
sad for free speech? Am I supposed to be sad
That's not an independent group.
for the First Amendment? Cheers, guys. If you're sharing this, thank you
That's
so
not
much.
an independent group. That's a group that works for Facebook. Funded by
Hippie
Facebook.
chick,
They're an
Nick
independent
Brown,
group
Sandy
that gets
Smith.
all their
Cheers,
money
guys.
from Jeff Zuckerberg or Mark Zuckerberg. How is that independent? This is amazing. They're an independent group funded by the company who rule on a small slice of controversial content decisions. In May, it upheld the company's unprecedented block of President Trump.
Good for them. I totally agree.
Random people get to just
Random
do
people-
this. Random people just get to make the decision
Nameless,
that the president of
fameless-
the United States.
I just love that Steph Zamorano is sticking up for Donald Trump right now. Psychotic, huh? Strange bedfellows.
Can be censored.
Nameless, faceless people. Trump said, next time I'm in the White House, there will be no more dinners at his request with Mark Zuckerberg and his wife. It will be all business.
All business.
It's really a big club, isn't it? See, they've been having dinner together at the White House. Dinner
Of
together.
course they have.
Just friendly dinner.
Of course
They're
they
just
have.
hanging out. A couple of billionaires hanging out at the White House.
Of course they
Talking
have.
about how to censor people.
Of course they have.
How to control the flow of information, to control a culture and a political process. White House spokeswoman Jen Psaki, speaking to reporters, said of Facebook's decision on Trump that it felt pretty unlikely that the zebra is going to change his stripes.
Right, and she's right. I don't like her. Let's circle back around to that. But at the same time, she's right. That zebra, nobody's going to stop him. And
This is how it is. This is the world.
right now,
We're living in a world of
I feel like I have 21 people watching my show, and not a single person is agreeing with me. At anything I'm saying, it's like I don't even know what I'm doing right now.
Wow.
Oh, I'm motherfucker, dude. Why? Yeah, I'm buffering for no fucking reason. I can't, for some reason, I can't fucking broadcast from in here sometimes. Like sometimes I'll have a show up and it'll just start dropping frames. You guys have anything to say at all? Do you guys have anything to say at all about anything that we just watched? Were you able to see any of it? Were you guys able to see the show just now? You guys have any opinion about any of it? Anything that I just showed you? Were you guys able to see the video? Karen agrees with me. Thank you, Karen. Anybody else? Is there anybody else here? Trump sucks, Jackie says. Okay. Speaking more in terms about how I disagree with Jimmy Dore about what he considers free speech and what I consider punishing somebody that is abusing their free speech. You know, can your free speech not be abused, Jimmy? Can free speech not be abused? So according to Jimmy, I can say anything I want, anywhere I want, anytime I want, anyhow I want, to whomever I want. Is that what Jimmy thinks free speech is? Because I got news for you. You know, I can't go stand out in front of the White House and say I'm going to, you know, cause harm to a specific person. I can't even say the words here on my channel. See, I had to word that. I had to word that carefully. We don't have free speech. I challenged Jimmy to a free speech off. He thinks we have free speech, and he thinks, you know, Zuckerberg and Jack are abusing, and Google are abusing their authority. Trump says Donald Trump shouldn't be allowed to run again. Stephen Culbertson. Well, Stephen, he wasn't convicted. He's never been convicted of any crime. So should Trump be allowed to run again? Until he gets convicted, man, until we wise up. And he's broken the law plenty of times, man. But you got to convict him, man. You've got to impeach him. You got to do something, or he's going to be president again for 4 more years. That's what you guys have to look forward to. Donald Trump, 4 more years. And you know what that means for me? You know, he's going to make me wealthy beyond my wildest dreams. Money, money, money. Who would be a good president? Who would be a good president? I don't think anybody would be a good president, man. You know, ultimate power ultimately corrupts. When you give someone the presidency, they become rotten. You know, it spoils them. It's like taking something out of the refrigerator and letting it rot outside on the counter. When you put someone in the presidency. You know? You can't expect a human being to be able to not abuse that kind of power. You know? So I think that we're watching the slowest train wreck The slowest train crash happening right in front of our faces. And it started way back. You know, back when Joe Biden was first being floated as a possibility to run for president of the United States. Bernie Sanders was already, gonna try. And people were like, socialism, socialism, socialism. And I saw it back then. And I said, Bernie Sanders is going to lose. And whoever wins this presidency is going to ensure that Donald Trump comes right back again. Because Bernie Sanders was really the only person that had a platform that was populist, that more percentage of Americans actually supported. Even though there were a lot of people screaming socialism, socialism, socialism at Bernie Sanders, the fact was people wanted Medicare for all. People wanted a $15 minimum wage. People, and they still do. People wanted student debt forgiveness. People wanted to end foreign wars. That's a lot of things. And over 60% of Americans agree with all of those things. And then we ended up putting Joe Biden in office, who disagreed on all of those popular ideas. Why? Because we're a bunch of idiots. Yeah, I don't know who you are, but you're blocked. Whatever. I think you're blocked. That's what I think. I think I don't give a fuck what you have to say. What do you think about that? What we're looking at is the slowest slow motion of all slow motion train wrecks happening right in front of us. And there's nothing any of us can do to stop it. It's like watching climate change. It's like watching the world run down slowly. It's the same thing what's happening with American politics. And, we know what we're getting into with Donald Trump for another 4 years. He is literally psychotic. He's criminally insane. It's it's not the end of the world for me. I just feel sad for the rest of the world, I feel sad for the rest of the world. And we just sit back and we're just going to watch it happen, man. There's really not much else to say about that. I'm not going to change it sitting here on this podcast. And, even Jimmy Dore, Jimmy Dore's kind of supporting Donald Trump. Think about that. Oh, let Donald Trump have a voice. Yeah, let's have a voice. Let him not have a voice. Either way, it doesn't matter. He's still going to be president again in 2024. It doesn't matter. You stifle him, you get called a censor, right? You let him speak, he becomes president. Either way, you lose. It's lose-lose. So, is there any light at the end of that tunnel? I'm here to tell you that there is. And I know what some of you might be thinking. You're like, Nay, you just painted the blackest future. No. And I know what you might be thinking now. Oh, well, Nay's going to make a lot of money when Trump becomes president again. No. Not at all. Donald Trump is being investigated so thoroughly right now. I know you guys have heard me say this before, but I'm going to say it again, and it's going to make me sound like a fucking maniac. but he could very well be charged and convicted for crimes that he committed during his presidency. Um, you know, I watched some more news. I'd love to be able to watch videos with you guys, but my bandwidth, it's for some reason it's acting fucking crazy, and I don't know why I can't broadcast into that room, like why I have no pipeline. But anyhow, when I watched some more news, he was talking about some of the crimes that Donald Trump is guilty of as being president of the United States. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to try to bring up the goddamn video. And hopefully I won't start dropping frames again. Hey, Tonka, what's up, brother? Hold on one second. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a very recent video upload. Huh. It must be on his other channel. Okay, it's some more news, I think it's called. Some more news. It doesn't come up. Some more news. Here we go. Here's a bunch of stuff Bill Maher is wrong about. That's the name of a fucking video. I love it. Hey, Dom. Hey, Kiro. Hey, Madman. What's the smoke behind you? There's no smoke behind me, man. It's the sun. It's a glare on the window. Hold on. Maybe it was an old video. Because it's not coming up. Oh, here it is. I found it. Ah! I almost gave up. Man. I found the video. It's a few. It's back in February, a few months back. Okay, great
He's
video.
also done a lot of crimes. Like, not just the one most recent crime that I'm sure happened while we were recording this episode, perhaps another treason or two, but other crimes too. So many that, once again, we can have genres of crimes. And this isn't counting his pre-presidential crimes, like, rape, something that has its own extensive Wikipedia page. For the sake of brevity, I'm going to just remind you all of the crimes
Just
he did
imagine that.
while in office.
Imagine that. Donald Trump literally has a Wikipedia page dedicated to all the women who've accused him of rape. How many women, and you're going to say, oh, well, he's a billionaire. How many women have accused Bill Gates of rape? How many women have accused Elon Musk of rape? So don't give me that shit.
How do we do this? Alphabetically, but like deceptively so that we still control the order, or like Letterman's top 10 list. Remember that? Let's do both. Starting with number 10, A, lot of emoluments clause violations. Oh yeah, that. The old Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8 of the United States Constitution that prevents any person holding office from accepting any gifts or profit from their position.
Nick,
A violation
Sandy,
considered so
JC,
severe that in
Crazy
1810
Karen,
they
thank
approved
you.
a currently
You're
unratified
dropping digits and
amendment
sharing this
making
video.
any violation punishable by removing the citizenship
thank you,
of the
guys.
individual
Cheers.
in question. So yeah, kind of a biggie. Maybe we should make that amendment official. I don't know. This is an idea. Just a little brainstorm. Putting all the cards on the table and such. Or in this case, folders filled with obviously blank pieces of paper. Remember that? Remember when the President of the United States, in an effort to assure people he's going to divest from as many businesses, presented us all with a half-assed scattering of shoddy office props, like some kind of community theater production of Glengarry Glen Ross. What
Cheers,
kind of hilarious sociopath does that? The lazy hubris needed to not only pass off obviously blank paper, but also, plant staff members into the audience to laugh and clap at his very good words. And just as we all knew he was going to do, our dear president proceeded to spend the next 4 years using his position to make money while nobody did anything about it. We just sort of watched it happen, kind of hoping that perhaps the Democrats would maybe, I don't know, stop him. But instead, Trump immediately began referring to Mar-a-Lago as the Southern White House, specifically while hosting the Japanese Prime Minister at his private club during a summit in which he charged the United States government a total of $36,000 for just that one time. He charged $3 for glasses of water, regular water, not like fancy $3 water where you soak $3 bills in the water to get that salty manhandled flavor. And he would go on to make millions in hotel and resort profits from taxpayer money spent on Secret Service and event catering, as well as GOP and corporate suck-ups using his properties like luxury wishing wells. Of course,
Hey, Griffin.
we know and are apparently
Right,
bored
Tonka.
with all our
Cheers,
taxpayer
Kiro.
money going to that turd Orange, but often do we forget all the weird corporate and political bribes just flowing into Trump Hotel. Like, hey, remember that time Trump approved a merger between Sprint and T-Mobile that would f*** over wireless customers? Like, even though they promised it would lead to 5G and more jobs, most people understood that it would actually raise prices and reduce competition. And after the...
You don't want any drama? Well, then block somebody that's giving you drama, bro. Just block them. That is the person. That is the person that took Elon Musk's avatar, and somebody on Twitter had taken, it was just a black, it was just black. You know, it was a picture of just black color, right? And they made it, they put it into a Photoshop, you know, type software, and they made it brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter until some pixelation came out of it. And they tried to pass it off as some kind of secret message that Elon Musk was putting out there on the internet. And this motherfucker tweets at me the same thing, the picture that this guy had already done, and tries to take credit for doing it. Says, "Hey, Nay, I found this in Elon Musk's avatar." No, you didn't. You saw someone else made a picture of it. You didn't find shit. Number one, you're a fucking liar. You don't think that I saw that on Twitter? You know, I follow all these crypto people. Of course I saw that shit. You know, so you're trying to, I found this, you said. And you're like, what do you think of it? And my response was, you know, if you look real close, I think it says, you are a moron. And they got all fucking butthurt. And then they came out, and then they went on Twitter and they said, "Oh, Nay only has 13 people watching his show. So thank you, all of you motherfuckers that don't come. Thank you. There's thousands of you." So that somebody could actually say that to me. And I'm just like, I'm just going to block you because you're just talking shit. So that's what that was, Griffin. Since you're asking, since you don't want drama, and all you had to do was block them, but instead you brought it onto my live stream and said you don't want drama, so you fucking brought it on my live stream, right? That's kind of funny, huh? Just fucking block them. That's what I did. Fucking idiot.
The merger went through thanks to Trump.
You're welcome.
T-Mobile went back on all of their promises for innovation and job creation because it was bad. And then we learned that also, you know, just as an aside, T-Mobile had spent $195,000 at Trump hotels since asking for the merger approval. So, like, T-Mobile wanted to do a bad thing designed to hurt people, lied, and said it would be good, and then spent almost $200,000 directly paying the president through his business he didn't divest from, resulting in that president approving the bad thing they wanted to do.
I love the way he explains shit in such a simple breakdown so that anybody can understand. What he just said there was so fucking funny.
To people. In exchange, it seems, for money. Just a thing that happened that didn't end Trump's presidency. Nor did we blink after learning that his IRS chief earns $100,000 a year from renting out Trump properties, or the fact that he uses Mar-a-Lago for fundraising events, some of which feature videos of him shooting the logo for Black Lives Matter, a civil rights movement. Remember? Do you remember? And so he's essentially siphoning political funds from the GOP straight to his company, like some kind of, grift, is it? Seems like the word for it.
Keep America grift.
But of course, we're talking specifically about the Emoluments Clause, which is about foreign governments giving money to the president, which is also a thing he did, on a regular basis no less, to the surprise and action of no one. Foreign governments leasing out luxury condominiums at Trump Tower, making business deals with foreign companies to build golf courses in other foreign countries. He tried to host the G7 summit at his resort. He literally uses his position as the President of the United States to plug his fucking businesses to foreign leaders, spitting directly in the face of specifically Jimmy Carter and generally the Emoluments Clause, a thing our founding fathers apparently considered to be a really serious offense. Also,
Griffin, drop in a digit.
Like that is just tacky, man. And on Twitter, come
More
on.
digits, please. Share, guys, please.
Anywho, I guess
All right.
the Constitution is like
Griffin, cheers.
vague or some junk. So we had a lot of problems actually punishing Trump for this, even though it's clearly not what anyone had in mind for how the presidency works. And like Jimmy Carter busting his nuts, and so on, and so on. And I guess the founding fathers, who clearly wanted a harsh punishment for this, once made Ben Franklin seek approval for a diamond snuff box from King Louis specifically because of this. But well,
He does a lot of jokes around eggs because it's just funny and it's stupid. So he's got a lot of eggs right now. It's just he's on an egg kick.
they didn't write it clear enough, so Joke's on them, right? The joke being that Trump used the
Cheers,
office
Griffin.
to make a total of $24,000,000
Oh, happy 420, bro! Griffin,
for his properties, specifically
Way to go, bro.
from
Cheers.
being the president. Ha-ha! Great joke on the country. So much egg on our faces.
Did someone say egg?
Hey, thanks for watching that clip. Here's the evergreen end plate to ask you to like and subscribe. It's any day of the year where you are.
James, cheers, buddy. Cheers, Griffin. Slowski, cheers, Slowski, Slowski, Slowski. Yeah. God, this is an hour video? Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, it was like 4 feet long at that point, so I just licked up what I could and got out of there.
Did you get your pants?
Well, we still had a lockpicking kit, so hey, Warmbo, I gotta do an episode, so I'll have to call you back.
Oh, fun! What's it about?
It's impeachment stuff. Nothing you need to be.
Impeachment, you say? Very scary business. Important to talk about. Hey, Mr. Cody, are you going to mention the whole thing about how it is important to have law and order? The faster we're able to move on, the faster we're able to heal as a nation. And then we don't have to say the bad man's name again. And start the path towards unity and friendship and love and caring and friendship and happiness and friendship and laughter until you all die, except Warbo doesn't die because Warbo doesn't have blood and Warbo doesn't have a heart and Warbo doesn't have bones and Warbo doesn't.
Yeah, and Warmbo, that's what the whole thing is about. Totally. So maybe just.
Maybe Warbo will come over and help Mr. Cody with his video about healing.
You know, that's very nice of you, Warmbo. But,
Okay, good. See you soon. Goodbye.
oh, no. Hi, folks. I think I just made a boner. Here's some news. We super have to rush through this impeachment video before Warmbo gets here because he's just a real happy drag. And we kind of need to talk about how the former president and a bunch of the GOP kind of tried to steal an entire presidential election and kind of encouraged their supporters to overthrow the government so their dopey wannabe dictator could stay in charge. And then, when those supporters failed to do that, they all just walked away whistling merrily like they didn't just attempt a violent coup, or putsch if you'd prefer. And now that former president is getting impeached again. Aren't you excited for the impeachment again? And it's probably definitely not going to work again because the GOP, as in those folks who tried to overturn an election, well, they aren't going to vote to convict because they're still holding office, despite a considerable chunk of them trying to overthrow an election. And somehow, we're just all keeping on, as if there isn't a political party currently pissing in the face of democracy. And
Exactly. And that right there is the fucking point. People should be out in the streets screaming over this shit. And he's right, man. People just don't care. People don't care, man. And we just let it happen. And we're going to watch it happen. We're going to watch Joe Biden squander his 4 years and give it right back to Trump.
And in some cases, reality. And just doing whatever they want and saying whatever lies they want and not being held responsible for it, while Democrats...
You know, and all Joe Biden would have to do to hold on to that presidency, he could do 5 or 6 things. Mostly, you know, give us Medicare for all, you fucking dumb cuck bitch. Give us $15 minimum wage. Forgive student debt. End foreign wars. Legalize cannabis. You know, he's not going to do any of those things. So Donald Trump, 2024. That's a thing.
Democrats are tossing senators in their party over inappropriate photographs and very inappropriate touching and minor sex scandals. And, like, it's just... instead of trying to hold the GOP just as accountable, I guess Dems just have to lower their standards, you know? So when they go low, we also go low. Until we both keep going lower and lower. And then we're all in hell, and I can already feel the blood rushing into my hate eye. But anywho, it's really fucking weird, huh? How the GOP are just like, not even pretending they aren't actual villains. And now a puppet is driving over to my apartment in his little puppet car to talk about healing and unity. And will probably suggest to censure Trump like he's Tim Kaine, who, and this is a neat fact, is also a puppet. Because despite everything we've seen, the Democrats who hold the majority power in 2 of the 3 branches of government are somehow hesitant to punish the people who tried to do a coup. And are only gonna give the whole impeaching a president for starting a coup thing a whirl so long as it doesn't take too long. Gotta be short, folks. Got lots to do, places to go, and people to not give stimulus checks to. But you know, we aren't here to taint slap the Dems. At least they're trying, I guess, sort of. Not at all enough.
Oh my god! Oh my god, where the fuck is Robert Mulligan at? Oh my god, the man just said taint slap. He's a fucking comedic genius. Someone type Robert Mulligan into the like James Hanley or anybody that's on Facebook? Will you please type the name Robert Mulligan? Will you please type the name? The wind outside is crazy right now. Will you please type the name Robert Mulligan in Facebook chat right now? Anybody in Facebook? Taint slap. What was this at? 347? 330. We can remember 330.
Whirl so long as it doesn't take too long. Gotta be short, folks. Got lots to do, places to go, and people to not give stimulus checks to. But you know, we aren't here to taint slap the Dems. At least they're trying, I guess, sort of. Not at all enough. I don't know. This isn't about them, okay? This is about unity. I mean, assigning and reveling in blame. If blame was piss, hot piss, then we're filling a kiddie pool up and just really soaking it in. That's what the time is for. Now is the time for assigning blame and really rubbing that blame in. And then calling for punishment and spite. Don't forget spite, and feeling super smug, because while yeah, there's some delicious piss blame to slather everywhere, very fine piss on both sides, this video is about all the weird little fascists who should but almost definitely won't be held accountable for their actions.
Now, this is the guy that I told you, aside from Jimmy Dore and me, keeping it the most real on the fucking internet. And I am telling you that if you want the straight narrative from reality, this is your guy. And you can follow him on Twitter as well. I think it's at Cody Johnston, I believe. I need to follow him from my other account. He tweets a lot.
Their quirky little insurrectionist actions. The ones who would constantly downplay the threat of Trump and Trumpism and are even now claiming that now that Trump is out of office, he and his office of the former president are going to calm down. Like he hasn't exposed and spawned so many mini versions of himself. Those people were wrong and are wrong and will continue to be wrong and will never admit to being wrong about how Trump not only didn't calm down, but he actively worked to destroy the country. He was divisive, petty, mean, greedy, criminal, and incompetent. And now everyone knows that. It's undeniable. Bask in this, I guess, in being right. We're Ian Malcolm gloating in the helicopter as it flies away from Jurassic Park. Only instead of dinosaurs on the loose, it's a bunch of racist truthers somehow holding office despite claiming that wildfires are caused by Jewish lasers.
We had witnessed 9/11, the terrorist attack in New York, and the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania, and the so-called plane that crashed into the Pentagon. It's odd. There's never any evidence shown for a plane in the Pentagon. But anyways, I'm not going to dive into the 9/11 conspiracy.
But the far left wants free healthcare, so they're the same, equal on both sides, you see. Anyway, we're certainly going to talk about that person later, that lady who wants, Democrat politicians and voters to literally be murdered, I think. My point at the moment, though, is that she's a direct result of Donald Trump becoming president. One of the dinosaurs on the loose, still at large. That's pretty important to keep in mind here, that the damage is still being done. And if anyone tries to act like we need to move on now, that he's no longer president, and not do anything besides stop and say, hey, wait, a lot of people need to go to jail or, not be in the government anymore, then that person is either in extreme denial, a foolish person, or one of the people that needs to go to jail, or all three combined, also known as Ted Cruz.
You know, Joe Biden last week at his inauguration gave this impassioned plea for unity. And congressional Democrats, their first response is, great, let's spend the first month of the Biden administration impeaching Donald Trump. They just hate Trump. And if for them, their partisan hatred is a higher priority than actually working for the people of this country, than doing something about the global pandemic, than helping the tens of millions of people out of work actually get back to work and helping businesses reopen.
Hey, Ted, guess what? Don't worry. There'll be another big stimulus bill coming up. Vote for it. Vote for it, Ted. Or, I guess, add to the pile more evidence that you're a complete fraud. Anyway, you're right. It's true. We just hate this Donald Trump for no reason other than partisan anger. Who can even say why we're mad at him in the first place? You know, it's like, geez. You get so wrapped up in something, you forget why you're doing it in the first place. All of this anger and not getting anything done. Such a shame we can't, as a nation, do multiple things at once. So we should probably just move on and focus on the other problems, like this pandemic that went grotesquely out of hand for some reason, probably not important why. And wow, geez, it's weird. There's a lot of other problems in the country too. I wonder what's happened in the last few years. Point is that we need to push aside our illogical hatred of Donald Trump and work to solve all of these many crises that for some reason exist now. No more partisan squabbling or pettiness. No more wasting time, says Ted Cruz, the senator of a state in a country currently having a Twitter war with Seth Rogen and talking about how environmentalists are like Thanos. Guess Ted's a big Dave Rubin and Tim Pool fan.
You watch the Avengers, right? The Avengers movies, you watch them. So, Thanos basically was Bernie.
Yeah, so for instance, like Thanos was utilitarian and Captain America was deontological.
Have you noticed in how many movies how often rabid environmentalists are the bad guys? Whether it's Thanos or go to Watchmen.
Cool stuff, Senator. Hey, Ted, you know how you reached out to AOC to work on some kind of Wall Street or tech regulation after the whole GameStop thing, and she was like, no, Ted. Remember the whole coup thing, Ted? And now you can be like,
See, the left is so full of hatred, they won't even come to the table on something they agree with. The GOP is the true party of the working class.
But the thing is, Ted, nothing's stopping you from writing up anything. That tweet from AOC doesn't mean you can't. Go ahead, buddy. Write it. Stop virtue signaling. I look forward to seeing your Wall Street big tech legislation. Former Google lobbyist whose, according to Donald Trump, hideous wife is a managing director at Goldman Sachs. But anyway, now is the time for unity and healing. According to the people causing the injury. Just to go back to that Jurassic Park analogy, calls for unity from the GOP are kind of like calls for unity by a velociraptor as it's eating you. Why are you still talking about these dinosaurs on the loose? They'd screech through bites of your pulpy flesh. Now is the time to think about branching the divide between man and prehistoric monster. Or did you not actually care about unity? Screech, screech, I say. Hook claw to you, sir. Also, Alan.
Alan.
And really, if we want this analogy to keep going, we do. If the velociraptors are complaining about unity, they can actually unify with the humans and the T-Rex to take down the big guy, the Indominus Rex from the best Jurassic Park, the World One. And see, here's the thing about unity or healing. We actually have a pretty clear idea of what that means in terms of the criminal justice system. Like, while the idea of closure for victims is often used as a very bad justification for capital punishment, most papers on the matter agree that there is a healing process that will accelerate when a perpetrator is convicted for their crimes and taken off the streets. It gives the victim the ability to move on knowing that person won't harm anyone else. But it's not just that, because our criminal justice system isn't about helping victims, not really. It's actually more about setting lines that people can't cross in order to have a working society. Also, jailing black teens for small amounts of weed. But that's another video.
Call it weed, call it cannabis.
I'm not advocating for our justice system, folks. I'm just saying that this is how, like, accountability works, or at least is supposed to work, in the eyes of our government. A crime gets committed, often creating victims of that crime, and our legal system is there to punish the people who did that crime in order to ensure that more people don't keep doing crimes. And hopefully, by doing that, the victims can see some kind of closure or healing. And while that system might have a lot of flaws, it's the same standard we're, in theory, but super not actually, holding everyone to. Certainly the party of law and order can agree that this is how it works, right? And on January 6th, 2021, crimes were committed. Crimes that we're currently impeaching the former president for, as well as holding a bunch of people in custody for. But the problem is that not all of the people who did the crime are in jail. And in fact, many of them, let's call them motherfuckers, are currently holding and will likely continue to hold government positions while talking about unity and healing. A thing we can't actually achieve because, well, that thing I just said, where they're not in jail. The last 4 years have been undeniably divisive. And if there's any hope of fixing that, it begins with making sure the right people actually get punished. Heal by punishing somebody. Unify around taking down the dinosaur together. So before my home is raided by a joyful puppet who I now regret giving my spare key to, let's name some of these motherfuckers. The motherfuckers who need to be punished. Hey, did someone say Ted Cruz just now? Like just now? A sentence ago? Oh, right, it was me when I said, did someone say Ted Cruz? That's who said it. Yeah, we should probably talk about this Ted Cruz fellow. You know, the weird little Twitter creep, patsy to dumb president, jacker of 9/11 pornography, and wife elbower. Hated by strangers and personal family alike. Bipartisanly hated by his colleagues. It sure seems like he did a sedition or two. And besides, you know, Trump is probably the best person to start with. Because from the moment Trump lied about election fraud, little Ted was right there to back him up.
Here, before we go to that clip, I just want to tell you, Rogie was outside on the porch. I was out on the I don't have a porch. He was outside on the deck out here, and I was out on the deck, and I was just, you know, whatever, looking out there, and the door was open. He was laying. I've got like a carpet right there, and he was just laying right there, and I laid down behind him, and when I laid down, he backed up just a little bit. He rolled right against me, and just collapsed. Just literally put his paw on my hand, and just snuggled me. It was so fucking badass. Like 3 or 4 minutes, we just laid there on the ground. It was so fucking awesome. It's so beautiful outside. It's 77 degrees outside. It's windy, and it's just fucking perfect, man. I just wanted to say that, man. I just had that little moment outside. Motherfuckers, right? Right, Tonka? Motherfuckers?
Well, Sean, what we're saying tonight, what we've been saying the last 3 days, is outrageous. It is partisan, it is political, and it is lawless. And we're seeing this pattern in Democratic city after Democratic city, but the worst in the country right now is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where they're not allowing the election observers in, despite clear state law that requires election observers being there, despite an order from a state judge saying election observers have to be within 6 feet of the ballot counting. They're just ignoring the law. They're defying the law. And there's a reason they're doing that. There's a reason they're defying the law. The reason you don't want observers there is because you're doing something you don't want to be observed. And I am angry, and I think the American people are angry, because by throwing the observers out, by clouding the vote counting in a shroud of darkness, they are setting the stage to potentially steal an election, not just from the president, but from the over 60 million people across this country who voted for him all across this country. It is lawless, and they need to follow the law.
Sorry, I don't normally want to inflict so much Ted Cruz on you, but it's important to hear exactly what he said in that Fox interview on November 5th. And that it was on November 5th specifically, because that's the same day that Trump's lawyers admitted that they actually had representatives in the room watching the count. Meanwhile, on CNN, the Republican city commissioner was confirming the exact same thing.
You are a Republican. You have been there every single day. You actually helped out with how this would all work. Give us the truth, please, Commissioner.
Well, my party affiliation doesn't and shouldn't affect what's true and what is not true. Observers from the Democratic Party and Republican Party, from the Biden campaign and the Trump campaign, have been in our counting area observing right up against where the process is taking place from the very beginning on election morning when we began this.
So, we have Ted Cruz, Lion Ted, if you will, repeating President Trump's lie.
Ted's head in the
literally
vice,
the exact
just
same
to
time
keep
that Trump's
turning the
lawyers
handle,
were admitting
click,
he was
click.
lying. And I don't know, maybe Ted didn't know this at the time and was simply...
You guys, I fell today. I almost really, I could have died. I hurt myself. I'll show you what I did. But I could have broken my wrist. I could have broken my leg. I could have hit my head. I was wearing sandals, and I was working on my sawmill. And the mill was not on, but you know, I wasn't near the blade or anything like that. But I was working on the trolley, and I was trying to leverage. It's a long story. I had a crowbar. Mark left this crowbar. I was using it, and I was wrenching something, and I had all my weight on it, and I was trying to move something, and it slipped, and I slipped, and I fell back, and I'm standing up on the sawmill, which is about 2 feet off the ground, right? It's on like these 2 feet posts, and these 2 foot posts, you know, it's redwood. It's like 2 feet up, maybe 2.5 feet, something like that. It's not really that high up. And then that's like 6 inches above that. You know, I'm standing up on that, and I fell, and there's 2 ramps to roll the logs up onto, and I fell kind of standing on one of those ramps backwards, and I just lost my balance, tried to I couldn't do anything, and I screamed like a little bitch. My leg went across one of the rails that the trolley runs on, and this is what happened to it right here. I was wearing sandals. I was wearing these. So, you know, I went down really fucking hard. We'll come back to Cody Johnston in a second. That's Some More News on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. You should all be subscribed to Some More News, Cody Johnston, and follow him on Twitter, Cody Johnston on Twitter, I believe. Okay, Ted, there was no problems in Philly, right, Dominic? Anyhow, to continue, so my sawmill has a trolley system on it, and it's really simple. It's this steel welded trolley. It's a rectangle of steel. It's just 4 bars, right, that make a square. And so you got this square, 4 bars, and underneath you've got 4 wheels, metal wheels. They look just like wheels without tires on them, and they're really small. You know, they're like this big. They're really strong and heavy, and they're welded on the bottom, and they match up to the 2 teeth. That's what did that to my leg. The 2 rails, steel rails that go along that this trolley runs down, and it runs the log through the saw on the trolley system on these rails, right? My buddy Mark, he's using my sawmill, and he put a giant log on that trolley, and when he did it, he fucked it up. He went to push the log closer to the blade, and when he did it unevenly, and one of the fucking sides of the trolley advanced forward 2 clicks. There's 2 cog wheels and an axle underneath the trolley, right? That are independent of those 4 wheels. And there's a lever, a long lever on one side. It's a ratchet handle. It's literally a ratchet handle, right? It's kind of genius little invention. That powers that thing, those 2 cogwheels underneath, connects to a system that slides the log towards the saw. And you get it right where you want it, and you just click this thing, click, 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 and you're good to go. It moves it, right? Well, he forced it, and he jumped that bitch off 2 clicks. 2 fucking on one side, made it crooked. I go to cut a log to see what's up, and it starts cutting the log crooked, and I don't know what the fuck's going on. So I get that log off there. Mark pulls the log off. I put a small log on there, and I cut that one, and it's cutting it all crooked and shit. I back it up. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. So I get up above the trolley after I get the wood off of it, you know, and I look down at it. And you can literally see, man, it's like this right here. I can literally demonstrate it right here easily. Watch this. Watch this. So you've got this. These are the tracks, right? These are the tracks. You got here and here. You got 2 tracks, and then you've got this trolley, and it rides on the tracks like this, right? So you got 2 ramps right here, and you roll the log up here, and you roll it up onto the trolley. Well, he rolled that thing up onto that trolley, and then he ratcheted this fucking thing to move the log. What he should have fucking done was just move the log, which is not that hard to do, and then ratchet the trolley up to it. He should have greased the goddamn thing too, which I went and I did. It needed to be greased. But he didn't, and he skipped that fucker off 2 goddamn wheels. So it would, when you run the plate right like this, and you stand above it and you look, you could see it was doing this shit. It looked like this. And I'm like, what's this, man? I'm looking at it. I'm like, from back here, it looked okay. I'm like, but when it got all the way to the edge, man, I was like, that's my problem. What's going on, man? I'm walking all around this thing trying to figure it out. Right here, there's 2 cog wheels and an axle. Now there's the 2 outside wheels. And right here, and this thing can go like this. It's on 2 metal slides. And you move it with this ratchet lever to move the log towards the blade. The blade's stationary, and it's just a blade that turns like this. It's a ribbon blade, and it's just a big loop, and it's on 2 wheels, and it just spins really fast, and this carriage moves the log through the blade. I took that slide and I slid it all the way back as far as it would go. And you could see what I did. You could see it was off. You know, you could see, obviously, you could see that there was a problem. You know, the problem was this side was actually closer than this side where the lever was. And I was like, man, I didn't know how the fuck I was going to fix it. Hey, Esteban. Yeah, Logan Paul fight tonight. There's a lot going on tonight. Jimmy Dore's at 7 p.m. So, stay focused, Patrick. How did I go about trying to fix this? Mark left his crowbar down there. It was a 6-foot crowbar or 5-foot long crowbar, something like that. And I backed the carriage all the way back so it was like this, right? And then I stuck the crowbar in. First, I tried to wedge it into the wheel underneath that spins with the crank, and I tried to crank it, and it just wouldn't work, man. It eventually just spun and even just went right through it. I was afraid I was going to break something. I took the crowbar, I stuck it down in there, and then I took a pipe and I put it on the end of the ratchet, and I pressed really hard. First thing I did was I tried to pry the whole thing back with the pry bar, and I pried it and slipped and almost killed myself, and I got hurt and I fell down. Man, I got all fucked up. My dog was right there with me. I was like, ah! It's horrible. I was in so much pain. But I got up and I kept working. And I decided to put the crowbar down in there this time and try to just move it with, and I went to my boneyard. I got a big pipe. I came back down. I put the pipe on the end of the ratchet handle, right? And I stood here. So I had the crowbar was sticking in right here, keeping this from moving, right? And the ratchet's over here. And I put the pipe in, let's say this is the pipe. I stuck the pipe into the ratchet handle. And then I pulled down, and I pulled, and I pulled, and I pulled. And it took all of my muscles, everything I had, and it went chunk, click one time. And I was like, oh my God. It went boom. And I was like, oh my God, I think I fucking moved it. So, you know, it was way back here. So I moved it forward to check, you know. And it was better, but it was still off by a little bit, by about a 1/4 inch. It couldn't be off at all. It's got to be totally straight. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, so maybe one more time, right? So I back it up again. I put the crowbar back in the same spot. This is what's fucked up. I had to duplicate what I had just done. I had to do it one more time. I put the crowbar in. I got the trolley all the way back, the trolley carriage all the way back. You got to remember, The trolley's on wheels, guys. It's steel and it's heavy, but you put too much weight on it and it'll come off the track. And that's why I fell backwards, man. I was wrenching it back and it came up off the track and I fucking fell backwards because of that. So I'm trying to be careful here. Same thing. Put the crowbar in. I get the pipe on the end of that ratchet again, put it in the same position. And this time I know what I'm doing. I get at the very end and I just go click. And I look at it. And I'm like, I straightened it, man. I fixed it. So I can saw wood. I can cut my own fucking boards again. And I'm so fucking happy. So I got a board down there right now. It's just a log. It's too heavy for me. I can't do it by myself. So I was going to bring I've got, you know, a little, it's like a Bobcat, you know, it's called a Mustang. I don't like to talk about the Mustang. It's a skid steer. I have to put the forks on it, pick up the log, pick it up, bring it over, and drop it down on the trolley. But I just haven't done that yet. But I figure that's what I'm going to do after this show. So that's what I'm going to go do right now, I guess. What do you guys say about that? Thank you, Tonka. Thank you. He says, "Goddamn, bro, glad you're not seriously hurt. Fucking crazy." Did you guys like that story? Because, I mean, we could talk all day, but you guys just aren't interacting with me. I figure I could just put my boots on and go down there and put that log on that sawmill. Maybe I'll make a sawmill video. You know, take my phone down there and make a sawmill video. You guys just aren't interacting with me. That's cool. Just trying to share some of my personal shit. I showed you where I got hurt. Nobody said anything about that. You guys are fucking crazy. All right. Yeah, I almost died today. You guys got nothing to say about that except for Tonka. Thank you, Tonka. I love you, bro. And the rest of you, that's fucking crazy. So, I'll see you guys later. All right? Otherwise, I'd stay. But you guys are, wow. Bye, guys. Take care. Love you all. Hope you love me too.